你没事吧？你没事吧? It currently is the 1500th hour, 13th minute, June 2026, the 22nd. We're shifting into Cancer season here. According to ancient astrology, it would still be Cancer season. We are in a cardinal quadrant for the next month. You can do what you will with that. Cancer season said to bring about a resurgence of passions, feelings, whatever you may be holding on to, whatever might be holding you down that you could use to release. This is a good time to work on rising beyond the depths of the underworld to our emotional body and just cutting off the archons from feeding on our energy. That is, if the Gnostics are correct. So maybe work on mastering the neutral state, not ignoring your emotions, but acknowledging them for the lessons that they bring, the information that comes with them, not allowing them to dictate your actions and so forth. If you're wondering what I've got in the glass there, that's quite the concoction to help my organs, my liver and kidneys and all the other ones attached to or connected to my lymphatic system. If you can't tell, there's beets in there. That's probably the most obvious. There's some pumpkin seeds. Look, it's kind of thick, but I'm still going to get that in me. I've got beet juice in here, a hunk of ginger. That's right. That's how I measured it. Just one hunk of ginger. I've got some parsley, which is strong in vitamin K. Possibly A, I'm not certain, but I know it's good for your eyes and your organs. I've got turmeric with black pepper in order to amplify the effects of the turmeric. I've got some cayenne pepper, just a smidgen of cinnamon. I've got one full-sized apple and some celery. Did I put it? Oh, I put a little bit of black cloves in there, and I think that's about it. That's my drink. Maybe I'll repost this live stream, and you can write it all down if you want, because I don't think you can rewind these, right? It's a little bit different than when you're streaming on YouTube. If you're wondering what I got right here, that is consistent action equals compounded results. So engage in short, frequent sessions in order to acquire that. And you may be the jack of all trades who masters each and every one because you are putting in consistent action to receive compound results. Don't listen to the rhetoric from the mass that you can't master more than 2 or 3 things. You most certainly can, granted that you put your time, effort, and heart into it on a consistent basis. The average powers that be want us dumbed down and easier to control, divided, and so on and so forth. Which brings me into my next note. Talking Canadian politics, which, if the shoe fits in any other country, go ahead and wear it. It's kind of rainy today, so I figured I'd do a stream in here, but the sun seems to be coming out. It was weird because it was just thundering not too long ago. So I might not be very long on here, but I do have a few things to say. In terms of politics, Pierre Poilievre has let me down. He seems to be jumping on the bandwagon to do what the average politician does, and that's perpetuate the divide by doing something that I've recently termed as, and let me recall it for a moment. We'll just call it scapegoat politics. I called it something else in a voice memo journal that I'll have to retrieve, but let's call it scapegoat politics. Right now, Pierre is practicing it by stating a term known as intimate partner violence, which just means beating up women. And it doesn't solve anything. All it does is perpetuate the divide between men and women. making it as though it's okay for women to do whatever they do that causes the conflict, that contributes to the conflict, without addressing their contribution to the conflict, while pointing the finger at men. So what's that going to do? It's going to exacerbate the divide. I'd rather we all be transparent and honest and take accountability. I think that's the way to resolve conflict. But of course, a politician's not going to agree, because how often do they actually take accountability? Go ahead, I'll wait. I got some fire for Carney too. He was at that soccer game with Qatar and Canada, and he told you exactly what the politician's motive of operandus is. Just to make things look good. You can hear him talking to the soccer players about how they're touching hands with the fans and how that looks good for Canada. This is what politicians care about. They care about how it looks, not what it actually is. They care about controlling how you think about things, not enlightening you to the truth. Not reaching true resolution, but rather bypassing blame, scapegoating accountability, things of that nature, and taking all of our money in the process and creating more prison systems to make money on our suffering. It's not bad enough that they allow what they do with the manufacturing sectors of our society, which many contribute to bringing about the big C word with us, from processed meats to polyester clothing, microwaved popcorn, Ferrero candies, to the chemtrails in the air, the fluoride in the water, etc., etc., etc. These politicians know full well, but they suck the dicks of their corporate masters, their investors, and that's about as far as that goes. They would rather have us divided and fighting amongst each other than join us and embrace a true revolution, a true renaissance, a real cultural rebirth that involves empowering us, the citizens. No. They'd rather continue the game of perpetuating suffering for us to appease their investor masters, and if the Gnostics are correct, then their archon masters. So, like I said in the beginning, maybe you can take the motivation from us being in a cardinal sun sign at this point, and you can process the hurts and woes of your past traumas, the underworld of your emotions, and you can secure that treasure by mastering the neutral state. Rise above. Don't ignore your emotions, but don't allow them to dictate your actions. Work on controlling them like you are a gray Jedi master. Not a Jedi master, not a Sith master, but one who embraces the entirety of duality, both sides of the Force, not one or the other. Enough of this separatist crap. Separatist. That's the problem when you're learning multiple languages. You end up mispronouncing words here and there. Maybe it's just consonant combinations, but it happens. Zhao Sheng, hello? Clock de la? Guten Morgen? I don't know how to say afternoon in German. Bonjour. Bonjour. Anina bonjour. Koe. Tanse. How's it going, everybody? How's it going? I'm just talking here. Normally you can find me jamming music and such, and also vlogging. I play guitar, I sing, I drum, I do other things. I've got some content, pre-recorded content on deck. I've got some plans, so if you like that sort of thing, feel free to hit subscribe. I should be more active in producing content very soon. I don't want to say too much because I am the target of multiple gang stalking operations, and some of these groups like to cut my content and suppress the source, being me, so that they can act as though they are the source and receive what the source is being donated. Ain't that nuts? Ain't that nuts? And most of them doing that part are the women of these groups. But, the government won't ever talk about the wrong that all humans do. They just want to point the finger at men. Why? Well, I imagine because the wealthy investors want to keep the women available for themselves. So they like to plant seeds in our minds to keep us divided and to encourage women in being impossible. Why? Because that keeps them available for the investors to seek their services. It's as simple as that, everybody. If you're offended, I invite you to embrace that and maybe work on your neutral state. Because if you're offended, then that signals that there's unhealed parts within you. If you cannot hear words and disagreements without being triggered, you've got work to do. Now, there would be an exception, of course. If you're offended by pedos, keep being offended by that because, you should be. Right? And how come the news ain't talking about that stuff anymore? That kind of just went up and away real quickly. Is it because there are wealthy people in these countries who want to avoid accountability for doing wrong to children? Oh, and what about the ones who coordinate the Pizzagate parties? Would they more likely be men or women? Who are children more likely to trust before attending such parties? Who's able to get the defenses down of the children and have them engage in the actions and activities of those parties? And it goes beyond that. We can talk about adrenochrome. My goodness, is that terrible? That's like the only thing worse than pedophilia. Adrenochrome harvesting. But this isn't the topic of today's video. Today's live stream. I just thought I'd come on here, say a few things, maybe encourage people to rise up, to tap into their own power, and to also embrace the state of neutrality, which if you were a Grey Jedi Master, embracing both the light and dark side of the Force that we have access to as humans. Well, we're actually technically not humans, but we are in human avatars, at least most of us are. I would imagine there's some others wearing some human masks. I don't know, though. I have an imagination, however. I'm not afraid of it. So yeah, what I'm encouraging right now before I get off is consistent action to yield compound results. You get that through short, frequent sessions. Zip-a-zap, educate yourself. Maybe diminish the divide between people. Yeah, be aware of this too. This is what coercive controllers heavily rely on, especially the ones who target me with their gang stalking operations. It's a psychological sleight of hand known as DARVO. Deny, attack, then reverse the victim and offender roles. Etc. 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 Do. Was there anything else I wanted to talk? Okay, so yeah, I talked about how I was disappointed in Pierre Poilievre because he's just being a puppet, and I don't care if he gets offended at that. He knows where I live. He can come and knock on the door and deal with me. I don't care if he's bigger. I've never feared bigger potential attackers. Not that I assume he would, but he might get offended enough too, because he just wants to appease the women who are covertly trying to take over the country, which won't ever happen. There will be like this illusion of them having it, but it will still be the ones beyond the scenes, the Wizards of Oz, if you will, who are truly controlling everything and continuing to encourage women in being impossible so that the divide continues to augment as opposed to diminish. Why? Because we're easier to control when we're pitted against each other. We're easier to control when we're arguing about stupid things like whose hockey team is better, blah, blah, blah. The difference in having a PP versus a vajiji. Things like that. It's just ridiculous. And as humans are more similar than not, regardless of gender, creed, ethnicity, etc. But I'll give you some viewing homework. I would encourage everyone to go and listen to George Carlin. He'll tell you how politicians are. And for the longest time, I was trying to give politicians the benefit of the doubt. But the fact of the matter is akin to the wealthy investors of every country. They don't give a fuck about us. They don't care. The only reason why they act like they care about the women is because they want them to be available to help them reach immediate gratification. That's why the court systems are set to destroy men. They're not set for justice. They're not set for balance. They're set to perpetuate the divide. That's all it is. They give some people privilege over others, and that's how they rule their hierarchy, which I consider a piss poor, like weak conglomerate's approach to governing a population. Like, I think it should be less about controlling them through deceptive means and memes, if you will, and more about transparency, honesty, unity, things like that. But you got to be careful because, like George Carlin said, anyone who promotes peace amongst humans is always targeted. You got Jesus, you got Lenin, etc. George Carlin's right on the fucking money with most things. I would only disagree with his claim that angels aren't real, but that's okay. If you aren't aware, that's okay. Not everybody's supposed to be fully aware as to the ongoings in this reality. There's got to be a balance between sleepers and wakers, if you want to call us all that. I don't care if people don't believe in angels. That doesn't bother me at all. I acknowledge what is. And so if you were to ask me if I believe in angels, I would have to say no, because I acknowledge their existence. So that it's not a belief. But I hope you followed that. And if you like these sorts of vlogs and talks where I don't censor myself and I do engage in freedom, in exercising my freedom of speech, as well as practicing hobbies and, like music and such. And basically just going at this off the cuff. There's no teleprompter here for me to read from. This is coming just from me, the dude behind the screen. He's back. He's the man behind the screen. And school's out for summer. As these lines form on my face and hands from the ups and downs. Hashtag Alice Cooper. Subscribe to continue tuning in, everybody. I might repost this. It was just a quick vlog off the top of my head, basically talking about the puppeted politicians, mainly here in Canada, but wherever the shoe fits. Politicians are just as fake as a hooker who acts like she cares about what you have to say. Yeah, look at what they allow through the manufacturing companies, through the costs of living. Like, they have a lot more power and control to affect change in those areas. And I do like that Mark Carney was talking about Canada growing its own food all year round, its own produce and such. And I hope that that happens, and I hope that it is a 100% pure and organic food and not set to the terms that some Jews rerouted so that you could reframe what it actually is as being something it's not. And I'm not racist to Jews. I probably got some Jewish in my DNA as well as many other races. I'm mixed as fuck. I'm Canadian. And because I'm mixed as fuck, I can say racist things to the races that I'm connected to. It's different when I say it. Anyway, I hope it just stays pure and good. I honestly want us to have access to healthy foods so we don't all have to die of cancer. And I get it. They need a level of population control, so that's why a lot of this goes under our noses and isn't discussed openly, because the rulers, the owners of us, they figure that they've got to use deceptive means in order to have us die by our own hands, by cancer, the most common thing, which, if you increase the alkalinity of your diet, and you take in certain herbs and such, and you avoid wearing polyester, you're going to be able to defeat it. I'm proving it right now. I've got throat cancer from smoking cigarettes, and just you wait. I'm going to heal that motherfucker, and they're probably going to try and assassinate me. But because I do actually have, as far as I can tell anyway, angelic protection, they're not going to be able to succeed until God allows them to succeed. And I've had this proven to me on multiple occasions. There's been those who target me, who have tried to run me off the road, who have fired guns at me, who have tried poisoning me, who tried killing me while I was on an operating table when I was a kid. The list goes on. I could go on and on and on. And these groups do not like me talking about this, but it needs to be discussed, and it's put on my heart in order to deliver full disclosure and transparency so that it could help others who are the victims and targets of these corrupt gang stalking motherfuckers who are really like out here just stealing inheritances, trying to compromise talented and magnetic characters under their wills through contracts that deal with terms such as in perpetuity, things of that nature. They don't like us having our own power and teaching the other monkeys how to fucking stand on it. They fear that. They fear unity. They fear, excuse me. They fear authenticity. Why? Because they don't know how to work with us. They only know how to deceive us and boss us around and imbibe their police officers with double standard treatments, just the same that they do to women, so that they can perpetuate the divide between the cop class, between the female class, between the political class, and so on and so forth. It's all about divide and conquer, everybody. It doesn't go much further than that, but you can rise above that. Learn how to harness the neutral state, all right? Don't be reactive. Take care of yourself. The healthier you eat, the more you're going to be able to rid your body of parasites and mold and heavy metals and things that lead to the big C word. See, I can say cancer season on TikTok, but I can't talk about the C word apparently, or you get muted. Ain't that weird? Doesn't that flag to you that there's investors who have their hands in TikTok trying to censor people from empowering other people? But meanwhile, you get the politicians going on TV and making it look like they care. They look like they care. So that's good. They've earned all that tax money that they're taking from all of us because they look and sound like they care. All right. So that's been it for me for today. If you like people vlogging on, maybe practicing some music and such, maybe taking you outside for some bushcraft tutorials. And who knows what else. I skateboard and I do a bunch of things. I'm a jack of many trades, and I'm mastering every fucking thing that I consistently put my time and effort into through consistent action, which yields compounded results acquired through short, frequent sessions. And I'm reminding everybody also to cancel your donor status, because there's a whole fucking dark side to that thing too. I think it's great to have organs on the market for people who need it, but that's just been another cash grab cow that they're taking people away and knocking them off so that they can sell our organs on the black market and things like that. Please do your research. Please don't just take anything as factual from anybody, from any source, be it the internet, television, teachers, politicians, cops. Please truly critically think and discern for yourself, everybody. That's it for me for now. I hear the train whistle going. I'm going to go practice some MMA now that the sun is shining. I'm going to ground with the earth. I'm going to touch trees. I might even do a stream outside. We'll have to wait and see. But for now, I've got to get my dishes set up. And that'll be it for me for now. Subscribe for more. And take care of yourselves, you little fuckers. Stop being so easily fucking triggered. Love each other.